Launch days are my favorite, and today I'm bringing you a world premiere, the new Favero Assioma Pro RL. I've tested them for days and will share my impressions and metrics today, and also a comparison with other competing power meters on the market in pedal form, like Garmin, Look Itself, or even other solutions like Spider or crank-based ones. Anyway, stay until the end of the video to find out if this should be your next power meter or not. 3 key points we have to start with no matter what. The first one is very simple, because where does the pedal's name RL come from? Well, the R is for road and the L is for look. So what we have here is a Favero pedal power meter for road bikes, compatible with Look Cleats. The second point, and this is where things get really interesting, is that with the launch of the RL Favero completes the Pro family ecosystem, having the Pro MX for off-road, whether it's gravel or mountain bike. There's the RS for road, compatible with Shimano pedaling dynamics cleats, and the RL, as I've already mentioned, for road compatible with Look Cleats. Now, the most interesting thing about the third point is that this entire ecosystem is compatible with each other, so it helps us get the most out of our investment in a power meter. Why? Well, basically because all 3 models have the same specific technology from Favero, where they managed to fit batteries, electronic systems, and strain gauges inside the axle, so that all the sensitive material is perfectly sealed, waterproof, and isolated from any tamperings inside the axle. And then we have a second part, which is the pedal body, which is perfectly interchangeable between the different models. So I can invest in just one, let's say, power meter that will basically come with 2 axles and 2 pedal bodies. Imagine that I bought these RLs, but I want to optimize as much as possible and say, hey, I also have other bikes, so it turns out I can buy the bodies separately. Let's use these MXs as an example. And in a process that only requires a 15mm wrench, a 6mm Allen key, and a bit of grease. And by following the instructions in the app, it takes about 2 or 3 minutes tops. You'll be able to change the pedal, the power meter from a road cleat to one prepared for gravel, and this way you get the most out of your investment. Like I said, it's not just that with a single power meter you can cover all disciplines, but also with just one power meter you can use it on as many bikes as you want, because obviously they're pedals and you can swap them between all the bikes you have, or if you travel you can use them on rental bikes or whatever the case may be. This new Pro RL will be available in 2 different versions. Version 1 basically has a power sensor located only in the left pedal, and version 2 has 2 power sensors, one in each pedal. Quick tip, if you've never tried power-based training before, I think option 1 with just one sensor is perfectly viable, because on one hand you have a lot to learn about how a power meter works, and on the other hand, most importantly, it's going to make this world a little more accessible. Now, if you've been working with power for a while, you're already an expert in power-based training, and you need the maximum amount of data, as much power data as possible. In that case, I would definitely tell you that it's really worth investing in having 2 sensors. On the other hand, it's important to note that Favero is not going to discontinue the first model that was compatible with Blue Cleats, which is the Assioma Duo, or the Assioma one. Obviously, it's not a pedal that has the exact same features as these new RL ones, but by staying in the catalog, it will help make entry into the world of Favero power meters somewhat more accessible economically and in terms of design, thanks to Favero. The most important issue of all is that pattern that was developed years ago. They are the only brand that has the strain gauges attached inside the axle, along with the electronic systems and the battery. These 3 elements are always located inside the axle. They are completely sealed in an airtight, watertight way, and therefore protected from any changes that could be caused by weather elements, temperature, possible impacts, switching between different bikes, and so on. In this way, Favero assures us that their data will not only be accurate on a specific day, but above all, will remain consistent over time. And this is the most valuable thing a power meter can have, that its data is truly consistent, that it always gives the same readings regardless of the conditions in which we are using it. Additionally, in the specific area of temperature, Favero uses a special algorithm to ensure that even within the same session, despite significant temperature fluctuations, the data remains accurate. Imagine a session that starts at sea level at 20 degrees and ends at the top of a peak at 3000 meters, I don't know, at 0 degrees temperature. Well, those data remain accurate and are not affected by temperature changes within the same session.
Thank you.
Remember that at all times we are talking about 100% made in Italy manufacturing. The pedal body is a carbon reinforced technopolymer, obviously aiming for maximum lightness and reinforcing the material so that it lasts as long as possible over time. The contact surface is the widest on the market, aiming for very good power transfer. We're talking about 755 square millimeters. The Q factor is exactly the same as what we had on the Pro RS. It's 53 millimeters, and the Steckhake is 10.5 millimeters. The cleats, of course, you can use others, but these come as standard. When you buy the power meters, they come with cleats made by Favero. You can also buy them aftermarket if you need to later on. And the feature I would highlight about these cleats made by Favero is that they come with an anti-slip system. This grey part you see here, because look, cleats have historically always been very slippery when you get off the bike and come into contact with the ground. So they've come up with this system to try to keep us from slipping so much. Since February 14th, there's a new software update that's very relevant for battery life. Just by doing this update through the Favero app, you'll be able to go from 60 hours of battery life per charge cycle to 160. An absolutely insane increase. And all of this without affecting data capture or the overall lifespan of the product. Very importantly, it doesn't just affect the new pedals you might buy, but also the ones you already have from the entire Pro family. As for direct competitors, I'm going to leave a chart down here so you can see for yourselves. But well, let's just say that as of today, direct competitors. In pedal-based power meters, there's Garmin, there's Look, and honestly, there are many areas where they can't compete directly. With Favero, for example, currently Favero is the pedal power meter with the longest battery life, and this applies to the entire Pro range. Additionally, Favero is the only one that has a specific pattern where the strain gauges are attached inside the axle. What this ensures is that the entire environment of the sensitive areas of the power meter sensor and all the electronics is completely sealed. And this way, we can guarantee not only that the readings are as accurate as possible, but above all that they are consistent and that they don't have to suffer variations due to changes in temperature, weather conditions, impacts, and so on. On the other hand, the Pro RS is the lightest pedal power meter on the market, and these new Pro RL models directly enter the category of the lightest pedal power meter. Compatible with adjustable color look. This is important because, for example, the look pedals themselves can be adjusted, but you need to buy an extra part, make a change to the pedal, and so on. With these new RL models, to adjust the color, you simply need to tighten or loosen this part here quickly in a few seconds, and that's it. Regarding other potential competitors that use spider or crank systems, the advantages of Favero are very clear. To begin with, well, we've already mentioned a few of them. The possibility of swapping the pedal bodies with each other allows you to have several types of cycling disciplines: road, gravel, mountain bike, etc., all with a single power meter. The possibility of changing the bodies between having power meter, road, etc., a single power meter, several cycling disciplines. We can use road, the possibility of swapping bodies with each other for cycling disciplines like road, the possibility to change for one power meter, several types of cycling disciplines, road, mountain bike, etc. What it does is collect the force generated on the pedal axle by the cyclist's foot, and through algorithms, calculations, and so on, it gives you a number, but here directly Favero is giving you the direct force that you apply with your foot in the exact place where you're applying it. It's basic. And finally, the ability to recoup the investment. With all these advantages I've mentioned about the interchangeable ecosystem, this is something that really makes a difference. The advanced metrics that you can find in real time, of course, also when you finish the session. But above all, this real-time part of the Favero app is amazing. Look, this is the simplified version. Very simple. How many watts am I pushing? This is right now, just as I'm pedaling, how many watts am I pushing? What revolutions per minute? And with what balance? From left to right? Because obviously I have the RL2, which has two sensors, one on each pedal. But if I go to the more professional version, look at all the information I get, because here I have the balance for each leg again. But also, at what point in the pedal stroke cycle am I applying more or less force? All of this is extremely important from a biomechanical point of view. The posterior cleat offset is also a very important piece of data to really understand if the cleats have been positioned exactly right. If not, you'll see it here quickly. How is it? With a slight deviation from the center of the pedal, and well, many other metrics that honestly I don't know how to fully take advantage of, but if you put them in the hands of biomechanic experts or coaches and so on, plus the advantage of being able to see them live, when you're close to the power meter, honestly, they can make a huge difference if you already have a very high level of knowledge about power-based training. Biomechanic experts after testing them for several days and considering everything I've shared, it's clear who this product is for. On one hand, people who are looking for a reliable bike power meter, and above all, one that provides consistent data measurement. This is the most important thing you should ask of a power meter. On the other hand, a system or an ecosystem, or rather, one that allows us to get the most out of the investment it requires nowadays. A power meter, a system that allows us to swap power meters between different bikes. And above all, one that doesn't complicate things for all those people who, in particular, are very involved with the world of Cleats. The RLs are an awesome option in many ways for those who the Pro RLs or in general the Favero range are not aimed at. Well, I think that for those people who have been in the cycling world for a while and have determined that they don't need training level data, or for those people who have just started and maybe still need to go through a learning process, with many other things that come with getting on a bike before installing a power meter. But for the latter, I tell you that if you've been bitten by the cycling bug sooner or later, if you're training hard and strong, you'll end up with a power meter on your bike and you're going to have a great time, because it's a tool that really amplifies the experience a lot and not only helps you improve your performance, but as I said, it makes the experience even better. In that sense, when you consider getting a power meter, I'm telling you, really take into account any of the models from Favero. Anyway, now it's your turn to give your opinion. Leave your rating from 1 to 10 for these new RLs, or in general for the whole Favero ecosystem, down below. And I'll see you in the next videos. Be very happy. Bye bye.